This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Hold on to your hats. We are on the grid. Who is going to be king of the late breakers? Excellent onboard shot. Michael Spiedel is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
I'm loving this.
Take your hat off and give him a bow. He's already in the lead and now he can sail off into the sunset.
This is Racing Unleashed.
Hallo, ich bin's, Anna, die Siegerin des Castings von GameTV Schweiz. Willkommen zu Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle. Heute zeigen wir den Verlauf des 6. Rennens des Racing Unleashed Championships 2022 auf der Silverstone Rennstrecke in England. Bis bald.
There is the lighting gantry, the virtual lighting gantry at the top of the screen. And we have 6 red lights. And when the lights are extinguished, we will be away and racing. Oh, and someone jumps to start straight away. That was from P2, I'm sure. And that means that will be picked up immediately by race control, just trying to anticipate the lights. And if memory serves me, we had a jump start with Roger Marte at Brands Hatch. So 2 times here in the UK. And unfortunately, a jump start for Sebastian Hirsch. Christoph Holstein's up to P2 and Jesus Cecilia down to P3. Enrique Maranon, then is Wojciech Polesny, Angelo Michel and Michael Spiedel as everyone sticks their elbows out and gets going in the first part of this race. Then we're with Fabio Vettigan now on the P11 position with Devin Iskro going around and taking up P10. Here is Wojciech Polesny then, who got penalised in the knockout qualifying. He'll be wanting to right the wrongs of that penalisation and try and score the very, very best result that he can. And he is on a mission here as he goes past Enrique Maranon and moves up to P4. He's got the bit well between his teeth here. Michael Spiedel making moves as well. He's up to P6 as the cars begin just a little bit to stretch their legs now. Alejandro Sanchez and Javier Loro having a ding-dong battle over P8. And Michael Spiedel then leading something of a train of cars there. As you can see, we go almost 3 cars abreast here as we take this corner with Michael Spiedel able to show a clean pair of heels to all those cars behind him. But it's a real battle for Alejandro Sanchez trying to move up to P7 from P8. Almost a wheel barge, but not quite. Good, healthy respect between the drivers. Racing room has been left, and we put the first lap in the book here at Silverstone as we are racing in Racing Unleashed. Our Racer League drivers then, and Alejandro Sanchez and Angelo Michel having this fantastic battle. Neither of them prepared to give a centimetre of tarmac. As Christoph Holstein leads from Cecilia, from Polesny, from Spiedel, already up to P4. And when we spoke to Spiedel in the warm-up to the race, as always, he was underplaying his chances. He's a very, very wily driver. Javier Loro to the right-hand side of the screen as we split the screens, and Alejandro Sanchez on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see Devin Iskro now, who's just lost out to Javier Loro. He's running in P9. Javier Loro is P8. Alejandro Sanchez P6, chasing down Enrique Maranon. Alejandro Sanchez in this orange car and Enrique Maranon in the all-yellow car that he is chasing at the moment. Holstein leading by 1.4 seconds over Polesny, and then Jesus Cecilia started from pole position and now runs in P3. Here's Alejandro Sanchez then. Current champion, of course, and very much as Michael Spiedel just took a look at the inside of Cecilia there, trying to unsettle the Cecilia car ahead. So Spiedel then trying to get himself into a potential podium-paying place very early on in this race. He's made a number of overtakes and is now rounding this turn and putting another lap in the book and going for another quest on this lap to move from P4 to P3. He sets the fastest lap in so doing, a 1:31.517 as he goes around the outside now. That move did not work, but what he's tried to do is unsettle Cecilia, who makes his debut in Racing Unleashed this weekend. And so, dare I say it, Smeedle is something of an old hand in Racing Unleashed. And here we can see as he dives, gets the draft off the Cecilia car. And but it is around the outside again, but that would give him the inside for the next turn if he was able to stay with him. There's a little touch, and Smeedle does go through to pick up P3. So it's Smeedle in a podium position now, potentially, and tell you what, Alejandro Sanchez and Enrique Maranon. Here is Enrique Maranon that we go on board with now, who's running in P5. And there you could see Jesu Cecilia running wide, and that playing into the hands of Enrique Maranon, who picks up P4 now. So he did his research yesterday. He watched the entire Challenger League race from being inside the lounge at Madrid. He wanted to learn everything he could about where's good to try and overtake here, and actually that appears to have worked as Alejandro Sanchez tries to pick off another driver now. And Alejandro Sanchez moving by Jesus Cecilia to put Alejandro Sanchez firmly into that P5 place. He's being chased now by Jesus, and next in the target sights of Alejandro Sanchez is going to be the car of Enrique Maranon as Christoph Holstein sets the fastest lap. He's got clear track ahead of him. It's a 1:31.326. 1:31.326 for and here is Jesus Cecilia that we're on board with now, who's got Angelo Michel for company, and then Javier Loro in the two green cars that are following, and then you can just see Devin Iskro into the shot as well. So Angelo Michel then inside the Formula Hybrid X Evo 2022 car, running in that P7 position, and there he is. Trademark baseball cap is on, and lots and lots of facial expressions as he tries to do his level best around this Silverstone circuit on the old National Pit Straight now, heading up towards Copse, which is turn number 9 through Copse, which is taken full chat flat. And here is our race leader, Christoph Holstein from Wojciech Polesny P2, and now Michael Smeedle is P3, of course, as we saw his quest moving up the order. So Christoph Holstein then on the hanger straight now, heading up towards the turn which is Stowe, turn number 15. You can't take this full chat flat, you'd end up in the turnip field next door. And he does lift just a little bit, and Holstein makes his way through the turn, no problem at all. Enrique Maranon then, with Michael Smeedle ahead of him. He knows that he's going to have a hard-charging Alejandro Sanchez on his gearbox very, very soon, potentially, but to be fair to Enrique, he's doing a good job and managing his pace perfectly, and keeping a gap between himself and Alejandro Sanchez currently. This is Javier Loro running in P8. Angelo Michel is the target driver ahead of him, and behind him is Devin Iskro trying to get on terms with Javier Loro. Devin Iskro running in P9 at the moment. Loris Mistretta has lost out to Florian Hasso, who we spoke to on the grid just before the start of the race. We're on lap 5 of 20, and here is Mr. Smeedle then, full of concentration and focus along the National Pit Straight now. This, of course, is where races used to be started in ye good old days at Silverstone. And then around this Copse turn and heading up to that sequence that every driver loves, and Maggots, Beckett and Chappell, and of course Michael admitting in our quick chat with him on the grid that Silverstone is definitely in the top 5 of his circuits around the world. We didn't actually find out what is the favourite circuit, and he may not even choose to tell us that, but certainly Silverstone, in his opinion, is well within his top 5. Now, Wojciech Polesny is ahead of him, and one of the drivers that may have been advantaged a little bit by Wojciech Polesny and the penalty that he picked up for his conduct during the knockout qualifying might have been the very driver that is right behind him now, Michael Smeedle. Just saying, and I wonder, as Michael now sets the fastest lap, a 1:31 dead, whether he won't find too much resistance when he tries to overtake Wojciech Polesny. Not sure. I think Wojciech is in a very, very good P2 position, and of course big money up for grabs in terms of the drivers and what they can bank. So I'm sure Wojciech would be very, very happy to bank P2, and maybe he won't give away that P2 place to Michael quite so easily. for my money, Enrique Maranello is beginning to reel Smeedle in here. So Maranello running in P4, Alejandro Sanchez is P5, and I did say that Alejandro Sanchez has not made quite the progress in getting close to Enrique Maranello as I thought that maybe he would. So that proves, A, Maranello is driving a very, very good race in P4, and that might explain why he is getting closer to Smeedle. It's down to 6/10 the gap between Smeedle and Maranello. Meantime, Christoph Holstein is 2.3 seconds up the road on Wojciech Polesny, who's running in P2. This is Ivan Kaufmann with Yannick Vonenberg ahead, and Yannick doing a bit of weave in there to try and break the toe afforded to Ivan Kaufmann. Kaufmann now to the outside, but Yannick Vonenberg with the inside line, but of course that does become the outside for the next turn, so they remain side by side until Ivan Kaufmann is able to put himself ahead of Yannick Vonenberg. So Ivan Kaufmann now up to P14. So Holstein, Polesny, Smeedle, the top three at the moment, but lots of battles going on throughout the pack as we are on lap 7 of 20 of this Silverstone circuit here in Northamptonshire. And Michael Smeedle still trying to reel in Wojciech Polesny, and he is getting a little bit closer now. So here is Smeedle, and ahead of him is the all-red car of Wojciech Polesny, who slows, and Smeedle goes through. I would suggest that that might be a nice drink waiting for Wojciech Polesny in due course, because Smeedle didn't have to work too hard to get past Wojciech Polesny there. So Polesny now, whose role will be to hold up Enrique Maranello and Alejandro Sanchez, I would suggest, and prevent them getting close to Michael Smeedle. Right, the fight is on now, as Glenn Fry might say, because we have a gap between Christoph Holstein and Michael Smeedle of 2.8 seconds. We are on lap 7 of 20, so there is lots of time left to Michael to try and get on terms with Christoph Holstein. So there is Smeedle then, and we will keep an eye on the gap, and Smeedle was quicker on the last lap than Holstein. Let's take a look at a replay of the start then, as we watch Loris Mistretta. Here it comes then. And it was an absolute slam dunk of a jump start, no question about that, but we can see it from the perspective of all the other drivers now with our virtual helicopter giving us this fantastic bird's eye view. And actually, in comparison, I think it was a reasonably clean and tidy start for most of the drivers, who of course have to take to the runoff areas and to the curbs for the first sequence of turns because there's so many cars out there. But Racing Control are more than well aware of that and allow some leniency on the opening lap. And Fabian Vettel, who is watching the race as well, of course, and there is no question about it in my mind, Fabian, that was a slam dunk of a jump start, and will be penalised effectively for that. Now, what I'm also interested in, and what I'd like to talk to Fabian about perhaps even more than the jump start, which is no contest, is the way that Michael Smeedle was able to get by Wojciech Polesny with almost no defence from Mr. Polesny at all. Surely, Fabian, you noticed that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a crazy beginning of the race. We saw a jump start into lap 1 from Sebastian Hirsch. It's a shame because he started from P2. I think he's a quite talented driver, and I know him from Munich, and yeah, to see him starting way too early was yeah, for me a shame, because like I said, I knew him personally, but yeah, we had the intense start of the race, and now we are seeing everybody is like marging the gaps and managing all of the end of the race. Let's see what will happen in the last laps.
Just before you go, Fabian, talking about the jump start as you did, when you are a racing driver and when you're sitting on the grid, I'm right in assuming, Fabian, that actually you do try very, very hard to anticipate the lights going out, don't you? And just sometimes you get it wrong, and presumably that's what's happened with Sebastian.
Yeah, sometimes you're just getting shaky on your left leg, let's say it like this. And yeah, of course you are nervous, you are motivated to get a good start. And of course, if you are starting from the front row, it's a quite intense situation, let's say it like that. And of course, your left leg is getting a bit shaky sometimes.
Yeah, of course it is. Fabian, thank you so much for talking to us. Fabian then with us throughout the course of the race. And I have to say, the conduct of the racing drivers since the start of the race, I think, has been exemplary so far. They're doing a very, very good job indeed. Holstein leading from Smeedel. The gap is 2.6 seconds. Then it's Polesny P3. Then it's Maranello and Sanchez. Then it's Cecilia, Michel Loro and Devin Iskro and Fabian Vettiger then rounding out the top 10 at the moment as we are on lap 10 of 20, so halfway through this race here at Silverstone. The race being led by Christoph Holstein. Now, if I can read a race, I would suggest that Smeedel will very quietly creep up on Christoph Holstein and then go for it in the final quarter of the race. That's when he'll really narrow the gap. He's protecting his tyres at the moment, I would suggest, and just keeping with him. Enrique Maranello, that we are on board with now, is running in P4 and really hasn't been threatened by Alejandro Sanchez, which surprises me. And it reinforces just how good Enrique Maranello is, as he's chasing down Wojciech Polesny, and he's been really focused on this and the pace and speed that he has. Now as he gets within striking distance of Wojciech Polesny, of course he will slow because he wants to find a way by Polesny, and this will mean that Enrique Maranello goes into that position where he's hunting and being hunted at the same time, as Alejandro Sanchez is right behind him now. So what Maranello needs to do is get past Polesny as quickly as he possibly can, to give himself the protection of another car between himself and this driver, which is Alejandro Sanchez, going through Farm right now. He is running in P5, and there you can see Enrique Maranello in the wheel tracks of Wojciech Polesny, trying to get Polesny just to make a small mistake, just to lose concentration for a millisecond, as we're on the Wellington Straight now. And you can see that from a power point of view, Enrique Maranello has got the power and pace in the car, but he does need to get by Wojciech Polesny very quickly, or Alejandro Sanchez might be able to take the two of them in one hit. We will see. Lap 11 of 20 now, National Pit Straight into the Copse turn. And Florian Hasser that we look at now, who is running in P11. And has got Vettiger ahead of him. Here is Florian. We spoke to him on the grid. Love the sound of these simulators through Maggots, Beckett's, and this wonderful sequence of turns that drivers absolutely love, and into Chapel and then onto the Hangar Straight, of course. 290 kilometers per hour. As now Enrique Maranello, having not got by Wojciech Polesny, does have Alejandro Sanchez breathing down his neck. So this is going to be a great opportunity to see just how good Enrique Maranello can be at defensive driving in holding off the threat of Alejandro Sanchez, whilst also trying to get by Wojciech Polesny as well. This three-way fight that is going on now for the final podium place is intensifying and beginning to heat up. So Enrique Maranello just showed his face to the inside of Wojciech Polesny. Here comes Alejandro Sanchez, who will have been rehearsing lap after lap after lap where he thinks he might get an opportunity to try and go by on the Enrique Maranello car. So Sanchez now just 4 or 5 car lengths. Let's see it from being on board with Wojciech Polesny, the two drivers fighting behind him. Wojciech Polesny doing a good job here as well. There's 4 tenths between himself and Enrique Maranello. And through once again this Beckett's, Maggots, Chapel sequence of turns. You can feel the drivers and hear the drivers lift a little bit before the long Hangar Straight, the fastest part of the Silverstone circuit then, before reining in the speed and going through the Stowe turn, which is where we're at right now. Holstein leading by 2 seconds now over Michael Smeedel. Smeedel can see the Holstein car ahead of him and is beginning to take time out of Holstein. And meantime, we've got two battles that are going on, and the closest battle is not for the lead at the moment. It is for this P3 place. Well, in fact, it's for P3, P4, and P5. That's what we're watching. And we're right to be watching this because on lap 13 of 20, Enrique Maranon gets closer to Wojciech Polesny than he has done for many, many laps previously. Can he provoke a small error from Polesny that would be enough for Enrique Maranon, like a viper, to go through and pick up that P3 place? Well, it hasn't happened yet. We stay on board with Wojciech Polesny. You can see the different lines that the two drivers are taking. And Enrique Maranon absolutely determined to fill the rear-view mirrors of Wojciech Polesny with that all-yellow racing car of his, made in Maranello. Pushing and pushing and pushing. Love the static camera. That gives us a real sensation of the speed that these drivers are propelling their cars around here at Silverstone. Just make a note, another couple of tenths have been taken out of the leading time from Christoph Holstein by the hard-charging Michael Schmiedl. Just saying. Just saying. Here's Alejandro Sanchez. Through this corner, take as much speed as possible. Just use the curbs. But keep your eyes on the sausage curbs on the next sequence of turns because they can really unsettle the car. I think the drivers have driven with remarkable credit. A 1:39.99 from Michael Schmiedl is the fastest lap, which means the gap between P1 and P2 is down to just 1.5 seconds now. This man is a master. There is no question about it. It's awe-inspiring to watch him on board along the Wellington Straight as he drives these cars fantastically well. Totally focused, totally composed for the entire race duration. And we are on lap 14 of 20. Here's Enrique Maranon, still not been able to find a way by Wojciech Polesny, who in his own right is doing a very good job in guarding that P3 position. Both Schmiedl and Polesny driving in our lounge in Munich, and whatever lounge you're competing in, we're delighted that you're there. Running very wide was Alejandro Sanchez then. Was he trying to get a little bit of a slingshot of speed perhaps? Or am I being really rather cynical? He certainly has got a little bit closer to Enrique Maranon there by exceeding the track limits a little bit, getting something of a speed slingshot, and that brings him potentially within striking distance of Enrique Maranon. It's all playing nicely into the hands of Wojciech Polesny. The more that Enrique Maranon and Alejandro Sanchez fight between themselves, it just plays into the hands of Wojciech Polesny, who has to enjoy the fact that those two drivers, as they get involved in their own battle, leave him well alone. But that's not the case now, as the attention focus now comes back from Enrique Maranon on Wojciech Polesny. The gap between P1 and P2 down to 1.2. Wojciech Polesny then driving as much by looking at the rearview mirrors as he is through looking ahead. And we're on the Wellington Straight now with Wojciech, who runs in this P3 place. You can see in the rearview mirror at the top of the screen just how close Enrique Maranon is getting, but it's all very well being close. It's all very well being faster than the car that is in front of you. You've got to find a way by it, and thus far, Enrique has not been able to do that. In the same vein, Alejandro Sanchez has not really been able to take it to Enrique Maranon as David Ladamada moves up to P13, having got by Ivan Kaufman. So we have 5 laps of the race remaining. Where has the time gone? Such a compelling race to enjoy. The race action supreme as Polesny now comes under renewed pressure and vigor from Enrique Maranon. There you can see Wojciech Polesny quite deliberately trying to break the toe and not allow Enrique Maranon any more advantage than he already has, as Maranon and Sanchez concertina up together now. And it could all of a sudden become a joint effort in terms of trying to get by Wojciech Polesny, neither of whom have succeeded in doing so yet. And Enrique Maranon, now gets alongside Wojciech Polesny, but it's a long way around the outside here. So he is being pushed into this really by Alejandro Sanchez, who of course is right up his trumpet here. And this is a fascinating battle which is really beginning to intensify and glow red hot in the embers now. Tries to sell Wojciech a dummy by going to the outside. Now he'll try and get underneath Wojciech Polesny. Thus far, none of it has worked. Alejandro Sanchez just stays steadfast in that position at the moment, waiting for these two to fight and to be able to pick up any advantage or any pieces that he can. We ride on board with Wojciech Polesny now. Absolutely brilliant racing. Fabian Vettel, what can Maranello do? I mean, lap after lap after lap, he's looked at every opportunity to get by Polesny. None of it has worked.
Yeah, intense racing. We are spectating racing for P3 for the podium. And of course, don't forget the race for P1. Yeah, Smeedle is catching up. He's increasing the speed, going incredible pace. And yeah, let's see what the last laps will bring.
Thank you so much, Fabian. You're absolutely right. It is an intensive race, and it is a brilliant race to watch as Michael Smeedle now takes another few tenths out of his previous fastest lap. He is now within 7/10 of Christoph Holstein, and Michael Smeedle then is on a mission here. So too is Enrique Maranello, who again tries to sell Wojciech Polesny something of a dummy, but it hasn't worked. And what Enrique cannot afford to do is to make himself vulnerable to Alejandro Sanchez. It is the worst position possible for him to be in, trying to overtake and trying to defend at the same time. You can see that Alejandro Sanchez is just being really uber cautious here, and he's allowing Maranello to fight ahead of him. And that is playing nicely into the hands of Wojciech Polesny, who's just steadfastly in that P3 position. Now Smeedle is within striking distance of Holstein. We bring both battles to you because they are both so compelling. The battle for P3 and the battle for P1. There's only one driver really focusing on taking that P1 place away, and that is Michael Smeedle, who over the last few laps really has increased his speed and his pace, as Fabian Vettel told us. And there is a mistake from Christoph Holstein. That plays nicely into the hands of Michael Smeedle. Do you know what? Michael didn't even need to get so close to him because the pressure was coming, and Michael Smeedle didn't really need to overtake because Christoph Holstein bowed to the pressure of the masterful Michael Smeedle behind him, and now we have a new race leader. And it came on lap 18 of 20. Smeedle leading Holstein, leading Polesny, leading Sanchez, leading Maranello. So Alejandro Sanchez getting by Enrique Maranello whilst we were watching Christoph Holstein lose out to Michael Smeedle. Wow, what a race in the final stages of this race. You can see that Christoph Holstein is really upset about that, but there is no question that it was a mistake from Christoph Holstein. Maybe it was the pressure that he could see coming from Michael Smeedle. Whatever it was, it played into the hands of the man from the Czech Republic, who now finds himself leading the race. Now, Alejandro Sanchez, what can he do to get by Wojciech Polesny that Enrique Maranello was not able to do? Well, he's running out of time to be able to do it, in truth. And just look, Smeedle has now got 3 seconds ahead of Holstein in the lead of this race. Absolutely brilliant racing, and really clean and tidy racing as well. Loris Mistretta then is P12 at the moment, and Loris Mistretta has Haase and Vettiger ahead of him in the 2 purple coloured cars. And Loris Mistretta then is 2 cars away, of course, from being in the points zone and being in the payout zone as well. And if on the final couple of laps he could move himself up the order, he would like to do that. Here's Alejandro Sanchez now getting a little bit closer to Wojciech Polesny, but he's got a lot of work to do over the remainder of this lap, plus one more, which is all that remains in this race. And Enrique Maranello will want to right the wrongs of Sanchez getting by him as well, and Sanchez will be well aware of that fact also. Smeedle is now leading by 3.5 seconds over Christoph Holstein P2. Then Wojciech Polesny, who's a further 3 seconds down, running in P3. Alejandro Sanchez just off the podium in P4, ahead of Enrique Maranello. Jesus Cecilia with a brilliant debut in this wonderful Racing Unleashed series. Here is Alejandro Sanchez, national pit straight now, going into the Copse turn, full chat flat. Can Alejandro Sanchez in the remainder of this lap plus one more just light the wick up still further on Wojciech Polesny? Can Enrique Maranon find the pace to get on terms once again with Alejandro Sanchez? So many questions remain to be answered in the remaining 1.5 laps of this brilliant race here at Silverstone, with Racing Unleashed absolutely going beyond the pinnacle today with a masterclass of really, really intensive and brilliant racing. And how can Michael Schmidl put in a fastest lap right at the end of the race? Well, his tyre conservation during the course of the race was very clever, his tyre preservation, and of course he has got completely clear tarmac ahead of him. He therefore takes advantage of that and moves his margin between himself and Christoph Holstein up to 4.4 seconds. We have started our final lap of this race at Silverstone. What a race it has been. Privileged to talk about it. Must be absolutely wonderful to be in one of the simulators driving it. Alejandro Sanchez, he's within 0.5 of Wojciech Polesny, but Polesny has looked rock solid in holding on to that P3 place. If the pressure has come from Sanchez or Maranon, he has not been shaken from either of those two drivers. So I rather think that barring disaster, which could still happen, we hope it doesn't, Polesny should have this under control. Alejandro Sanchez in his quest to try and get him on the hanger straight meant he kicked up a bit of dust. Wojciech Polesny now, all he needs to do is stick his elbows out. Alejandro Sanchez trying to get close to him. Schmidl will cross the timing line with in excess of 5 seconds to the good and wins at Silverstone. A brilliant drive from Michael Schmidl, who I believe well, he knew what he'd got to do, and he just spent his time being very, very clever. I have to say a good well done to Wojciech Polesny as well for holding off Alejandro Sanchez, I should say, and there you can see. So a double podium for the Czech Republic then, P1 and P3, with Christoph Holstein taking P2. Great racing, really clean and tidy racing in my opinion as well. And Christoph Holstein, he'll be saying what could have been, what should have been. He's in Zurich and he did make a mistake, in my opinion. Here at the start, there was no question about the jump start, was there? I mean, goodness me, I have no race direction qualifications or credibility, but that was pretty obvious to me. I have to say, I think the rest of the start was reasonably clean and tidy. Wojciech Polesny, I have to say, you were under pressure for quite a lot of that race, but you just soaked it up, Wojciech, and you defended perfectly fairly. Actually, I'm not even sure I would say defended, because I don't think anyone got close enough to you to really put a fight on. Great driving, Wojciech.
Yeah, thank you so much. To be honest, it was quite difficult to keep the Spaniard guys behind me, but yeah. And otherwise, I'm a little bit angry to Christoph which protested me in the knockout round, so I'll let Michael go. And the final, yeah, it calls him a win. So yeah.
Well, I have to say, Wojciech, and I hope you won't be offended by it, I did say when you and Michael were together on the straight, I said, I don't think Wojciech will defend this position too hard, and you didn't. In fact, if you'd have indicated right and had a cup of coffee, it was, but, you know, I understand why you did that, but, yeah, I mean, you never actually, for all the laps that I called it, I really didn't think that you were under threat of losing that P3 position, and you actually made it look much easier than you said it was, because you said you did have to defend and you were aware.
Yes, of course, but yeah, the Silverstone is quite, it's not quite easy track to overtake, but I use it, and track was on my side, so.
Well, it's a very good day for the Czech Republic racing talent, isn't it, with P1 and P3?
Yes, of course.
Many congratulations to you, Wojciech, and thank you for talking to us. We really appreciate that.
Thank you too.
So Wojciech Polesny then with P3. There is Devin Iskro and David Ladamada then having a conversation at the end of the race. And here is Christoph Holstein. Christoph, I don't call many things correctly. You're in Zurich. I said, there is a mistake, I'm sure, from Christoph Holstein as he runs wide and Michael Smeedel goes through. Was it the pressure of knowing that he was coming like a steam train behind you, Christoph?
I mean, yes, obviously there was pressure, but it's not a mistake I made. It's I had a technical issue in that corner where my wheel was basically off-center. Like, it recalibrated itself midway through the corner, so I was going straight on. So there was not much I could do in that situation. I mean, you never know what would have happened in the 3 laps, and maybe would have made an actual mistake. But yeah, when you're 3 laps from victory and you lose the race like this, then it's not the greatest feeling.
Well, first and foremost, Christoph, I owe you an apology then. It wasn't a mistake, it was a reset that needed to be done. You did jolly well to get that back in order then, and you're so humble as to say, actually what would have happened in 3 laps, none of us will ever know, but at the moment it is going to be P2 for you. And do you feel then it is the win that got away, Christoph?
I mean, you never know. I mean, he was super quick. I feel like he needed a little bit of time to get into a groove after he got past Polesny, and then he was catching very, very quickly, much more quickly than I would have hoped. So,
well,
I mean, yeah, he did everything right, and he deserved to be on the top of the podium. But yeah, obviously a little bit disappointed at the moment for P2. I think I'll sleep over it, and then on the next day I think I'll be happy with P2 because it's the best result of the season for me. Well
done, Christoph. Your best result of the season. Thank you for talking to us then. So the podium is confirmed, which means that Christoph Holstein's P2 is confirmed. It means Wojciech Polesny's P3 is confirmed. And of course, for Michael Smeedel, it means, hello Fabian, it means his P1 is confirmed as well. So that's the way it looks at the moment. It's absolutely confirmed from race control. And Michael Smeedel then, I said that you'd got this strategically, you'd sussed that what you were going to do, you were going to make the real attack with the last 6 or 7 laps to do, and it was another brilliant drive. I had the audacity to call you a master. I apologise for that, but I think it was another masterful display, Michael.
First of all, it's nice to hear you, Dave, after we missed the interview last time out when I finished 4th.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I had to push like crazy right from the beginning. Obviously, I knew that the pace was there, so I was pushing like a maniac right from the first lap. And then I made a few nice overtakes, and yeah, obviously I was a little bit lucky with Christoph, so I feel sorry for him. He deserved to win that race, but I was there to collect that, and I have won the race, so it feels great.
Very humble of you to say he deserved that race win, but at the end of the day, as a racing driver, you have to take your luck sometimes, and sometimes your luck is good, sometimes it's bad. Christoph was saying he felt that even if he hadn't had that steering reset in that corner where I thought he'd made a mistake, that you'd got so much pace that probably you'd have got by.
Yeah, I wanted to put him under pressure, but obviously it made my life easier when he did that mistake or it was a technical issue, whatever. So yeah, really happy with that. I wasn't really aiming to win the race, to be honest. I am more like thinking about the championship now after 5 races, but obviously winning that race feels super special, and it's a great feeling, to be honest.
My last question to you, when will you next be competing in the lounge in Kemptal so you and I can have a cup of tea together, friend?
I don't know when, but well, to be honest, I would like to be there for the final race, and probably we're going to be invited there for Battle for Glory, I guess, so we can have a coffee and probably a few beers, I guess.
I'm looking forward to that. Many congratulations on your win. We'll see you on the top step of the podium. Well done, Michael Smeedel, and absolutely, as always, a great privilege to talk to you. A very, very charming young man, as well as being a hugely successful racing driver. So we have heard that our podium is confirmed. Here it is on the top step of the podium. Michael Smeedel, P1, Christoph Holstein is P2, and Wojciech Polesny is P3. On the podium is one Mr. Wojciech Polesny, who receives his trophy. in the lounge in Munich. Well done, Wojciech. A fine P3 for you. Here taking P2 is Christoph Holstein. And thanks for the wave. Thanks for the thumbs up, Christoph. And many congratulations to you. P2 for Christoph Holstein then. And Michael Smeedel then on the top step of the podium. Many congratulations. Our race winner from... what's the silly pose for, Wojciech? From Silverstone. Confirmed results from Silverstone with Smeedel, Holstein and Polesny on the podium. Angelo Michel took P7 and Devin Isgro taking P9. Those 10, of course, are in the points. And then a big well done to Sebastian Hirsch, who you may recall jumped the start but ended up finishing in P14. And in the Drivers' Championship points then, Michael Smeedel now on 127 over Alejandro Sanchez on 53 and Angelo Michel on 51. It's Dominic Dedic who's P10 in the points at the moment. And then the rest of the order, as you can see, with Florian Hasse, he's P11 in the points, and Kevin Aby is P20. And that doesn't end there. So many drivers in the Racer League, of course, with Roger Marte and the rest of the order, as you can see.
So, das ist es gewesen. Wir sehen uns wieder am 27. August um 10:50 Uhr hier auf GameTV bei der Live-Übertragung zum 7. Rennen auf der Spa-Francorchamps Rennstrecke in Belgien. Bis dann.